Okay, on these welders are notorious for tinkering with welding machines. And there's two places you can mess with it. You can turn the idle speed up from 1550, or you can turn it down to 1500, and that changes the open circuit volts. This machine basically starts out factory around 93. I checked this one a while ago when it was hot, and it's about 94 something. After I welded last week with it, heat makes the generator come down, and it settled down about 91. Anytime you have an electrical generator, when it's hot, it loses power. When it's cold, it gains power. So we'll mess with that adjusting screw back there. But also in here, they have a rack. And that rack holds these carbon brushes. And there's 8 of them. And right up in here, it's hard to see, there is an adjustment bolt. Or rather, not an adjustment bolt, but a bracket bolt. You loosen it, and you bump this machine, and right in here, there's a little white dot. And that's where you line up the machine for it to weld factory setting. If you bump that, and I mean you don't bump it much if you do, a 1/16, it changes how it welds. It can make it hotter, and old-time welders would bump it one way to make it hotter. You could stretch that rod out when you're running the root paths, what we call beads, and it would go further. If you retard it the other way a 1/16, it would make the metal thicken a little bit, and it was better if you were welding out on what we call the firing line. And so you'll hear that term, people racking a machine. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about loosening that set bolt, bumping the rack that holds those brushes just a little bit. I've never done that. You can screw it up pretty quick if you don't know what you're doing. If you're going to do it, have a mechanic do it. Right here's the easiest way. If you turn this thing toward the machine, you increase the RPMs and the OCVs. If I loosen this lock nut and back it off, it retards it. This adjustment on the governor is to make the machine fire off faster. You put your rod in and you want that thing to fire off just as soon as you touch it. Then you would adjust it here. But make sure you know what you're doing, okay? I've got it set where I touch it one time, the machine idles up, and the next time I touch it, it fires off. I didn't want it to fire off right away, because if you do that, what if you arc the pipe outside the bevel? Then you're in big trouble, right? So we don't want to do that. Now, you can look in here and see this armature. This is the main armature, and it's been worked on. They machined it, they worked on it while they had it out, took it, and I had everything dipped and baked, they called it, on the generator side, and it's clean. And that's what it should look like. When the carbon brushes, these brushes right in here, after a while they'll make it black. And to get the right drive and force out of it, you'll need to take a cleaner, a little brush cleaner, and it looks like this. And it's a soft stone, you don't want the hard stone. And we will take them, and you'll mash down on it right here as this machine is turning, and it'll clean this carbon off of here back to that shiny copper color.